Hi, everyone who's here early. And
Yes.
unfortunately, this time we don't have a raffle for people who are there early.
Well, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe next time we should take a snapshot of who's there at 12 sharp.
That's it. And then have a drawing. Well, you all get the prompt award.
Or we do it the threatening way. Anyone who's not there at 12:01 doesn't get the point for the training.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that would be a little harsh. Hi, Gloria. I don't know if she heard me.
If you're saying something, Gloria, we don't hear you.
Gloria does not have sound yet. Anybody that looks in the participants, you'll see there's no audio for Gloria right now.
Hi, Tsukoshi. Hi.
Now it's noon, and as everyone is hopefully on their lunch break and either now eating or rushing towards eating, let's start right on time. Welcome to the VP of Membership Club Training. Let's start with a bit of housekeeping. As you've seen, we are recording the meeting, and by attending this remote club officer training, you agree to the privacy policies of Toastmasters International, as well as the associated remote hosting service. Some of your personal information, such as name, image, and any shared messages may be shared with other meeting participants and will be recorded by Toastmasters International, who may use the recording in the future as it sees fit. Your remote attendance hereby discharges TM International from all claims, demands, rights, promises, damages, and liabilities arise out of or in connection with the use of the distribution of said video recordings, including but not limited any claims of invasion of privacy, appropriation of likeness, or defamation. That out of the way, welcome to the club officer training. And we have 1 hour for the VP of membership training. And at the end of the day, we'd like, of course, to all fill out the survey so we know how well we did. And so you don't have to hear me speaking all the time. I'm very happy to have a special guest here. Stephanie Hooper joined Burlington Better Speakers in 2006 and sponsored Skagit Valley Speakers in 2014. Both clubs have been an integral part of her personal and professional growth. She has served in every club officer role over the years, and some multiple times, all enjoyable. In addition, she served as area and division director for District 2, and as a Rotary and Toastmaster member, she's currently the member of the Rotary Toastmaster Alliance Committee for the district. Her favorite part of Toastmasters is helping new Toastmasters discover their voice and confidence in speaking and leadership. Please welcome distinguished Toastmaster Stephanie Hooper, presenting the Club Officer Training for Vice President of Membership.
Thank you, Kevin, and welcome to the Club Officer Training for Vice President of Membership. I did get one request that the person who has signed on with their phone number, the 425-266 number, please put your name in there so you get credit for attending, or put your member number in, one of the two. But please let us know who you are. Welcome. And so I have a quick survey here for us. Is there anyone joining us here today, other than our trio members, who is not here for the Vice President of Membership Training because they're a VPM? Is there anyone, a virtual hand or physical hand? All right, so you are all here for the training. Is there anyone here who is a Vice President of Membership for the very first time?
And
Great.
you did get 2 virtual hands, Stephanie.
Okay, thank you. I see them. Yes, thank you so much. We're at
Hey,
30 now.
Stephanie, this is Mark Calkins. I'm on that 266-1657 number,
Okay,
and I'm on a landline, so I don't
Okay.
have the ability to
change
text
anything.
or
All
otherwise
right.
program
And-
in. So if you
and
can
could you
take
repeat?
note of that, thank you.
Okay, and it was Mark.
Calkins, C-A-L-K-I-N-S.
Great, thank you for letting
I
us
got
know.
it.
All right.
Yep,
And so
thanks.
my final question here for you is, who has been in Toastmasters less than a year, and this is your first time to be an officer? All right, it looks like we've got a really good mix of people. And the goal here today is that you would leave after the presentation to have a much better understanding of the role of Vice President of Membership. As Kevin mentioned, I have served in every officer role, some of them multiple times. You don't be in Toastmasters since 2006 without encountering those opportunities along the way. And every one of the officer roles has a favorite component for me. There's something I like about every one of them. And for Vice President of Membership, my most favorite part is the fact that you get to meet and greet guests. You get to share with them the benefits of Toastmasters, and you get to help them become a member. I love that part about being VPM, and basically that is the core of it. VPM helps the club connect and make and attract new members to your club when guests come in, and help retain existing members. And so before we get started and I pull up the PowerPoint that has been provided by Toastmasters International, I would like to just say that you may have questions that come up during the presentation, and it's a little challenging because of Zoom when sharing a screen to answer and respond to questions. So I would ask you to jot them down. And the second half of this presentation is time for us to have discussion, respond to questions, and answer all those questions that you might have that come up. So I am going to pull up my screen here and we will get going. Vice President of Membership Training. We've got the right PowerPoint. This is a good sign. There we go. In this presentation, we're going to cover the role of VPM, or the responsibilities and the resources available to you. The session objectives are to identify your role, understand your responsibilities, and then how to find the resources that will help you. The Vice President of Membership role, you are the third ranking officer. And what does that mean? Well, President is first, Vice President of Education is second, and you are third. Every club is different, but for example, in my club, the president opens the meeting and presides over it. If the president's not available, the Vice President of Education steps in. And if neither one of those are available, especially during the summer when everybody's traveling, the Vice President of Membership would preside over the meeting. It could mean something different for each club, but that's generally what it means. I believe that every member has a membership responsibility. Every member is responsible to build and support their club, but what you do is lead them in that endeavor. And I recommend, first of all, that you review the club Leadership Handbook. If you don't have that book, if you haven't received it, it is item number 1310 at toastmasters.org. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It is fantastic. All you have to do is Google Club Leadership Handbook, Toastmasters, and the link for it will come right up and you go right to where it is on Toastmasters. Overall, what are your responsibilities? First of all, to recruit new members. But as I said, you also rely on your other members to bring the guests to help you recruit them. You conduct membership events and contests, and many of those might even fit into a pathway project. So be looking out for those during the course of the year. You assist and welcome guests, and you procure the completed application and dues and get them to the treasurer. Another thing that you do is you support the club mission. And I am going to read the club mission. Many clubs read it at the beginning of their meeting. Many clubs have it on their agenda. If you don't have it on your agenda, it's a good thing to have because I think it's encouraging to guests. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Now, what guest doesn't want that? Be sure to reiterate that to them. Then Toastmasters International, our constitution, the club constitution and standard bylaws describes your role as this. The vice president of membership is the third ranking officer and is responsible for planning, organizing, directing a program that ensures individual member retention and growth in club individual membership. The vice president of membership chairs the membership committee. Lots to think about. The responsibilities. There are 3 categories during the meeting, outside the club meeting, and the executive committee. The executive committee is often also known as the officers and the officer meeting. First, we're going to look at the club meeting, before the meeting, at the arrival at the meeting, and then during the meetings. Before club meetings, make a list of new members. I love the optimism here. I love Toastmasters International that they think that we always have a long list of new members that we need to make a list. I love it. So unless you've had an event where you have a lot of members, you would still think about who those new members are and contact the president and the vice president of education to arrange for that new member's induction. Have a few guest packets available and ready to go. Now, item 387 that is referred to here, those are available on the Toastmasters International shop page, and it is a beautiful black brochure, folder, and it has in it, items like Find Your Voice, Your Path to Leadership, all about Toastmasters, the benefits of Toastmasters, a promotional bookmark which has the 10 tips of public speaking on it, and a promotional magnet. Now, $2.50 doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're handing out a lot, sometimes it can get really expensive. So this would depend on your club's budget and availability. And also keep in mind that freight and shipping from Toastmasters International can add a chunk to the cost of this. I have used these folders. I like them. You can also add an application in there. I recommend these perhaps if you're having a special event to invite guests rather than the general club meeting. You can make your own folder, order 1 or 2, get a look and see what's inside of them, and perhaps make your own. We have to be careful about recreating Toastmasters International material, but you could create one with an application and information about your club. Another thing you can do before meetings is to contact former guests and members who have not been at the meeting for a while. Guests that haven't been at the meeting or visited a while back, you can send them the agenda for the week, invite them to come back, reach out to members who haven't been attending the meetings. It's good to find out why they're not coming. Most of the time, it's just life in general, but it's good to know if there's an issue or anything like that. Have that conversation with them. And it's mostly like test the waters to see what is going on with them and encourage them, obviously, to visit again. So on arrival at your club meetings, you greet the guests and the members. I can't think of anything more lovely. Now, in reality, everybody should be greeting your guests, not just you, but you have a special role there in that you are now going to be providing them with some additional information rather than a quick hello. You provide those guests with the guest packets, as I just referred to. I also created for our Skagit Valley Speakers and Burlington Better Speakers Club a trifold 2-page brochure. I just print them off or take them to Office Depot and have them printed off a few at a time, because I do them in color, so it's a little bit spendy. It depends on what kind of budget your club has. And it's not like I created some magical brochure. I plagiarized it with permission. One of the Bellingham clubs has a great brochure that they hand out to their guests. And if anybody is interested, let me know and I'd be happy to send you a copy of ours. And then of course you want to answer any questions they may have. Now in Zoom, that again is a little bit challenging. One of the things that I like to do during a meeting as VPM is I like to sit next to the guest. First of all, you have greeted them, you're connecting with them, and then you can help them navigate through the course of the meeting if they have any questions that relate to the meeting. I don't know if you all remember the first time you visited a meeting, but it's an overwhelming amount of information. None of it is complicated, but you know, one of the things we excel at in Toastmasters is a lot of information. So helping a guest sort through it and helping them not feel overwhelmed, because we want them to return, we want them to join. So you meet with the guests to answer their questions. You can ask them to stay on Zoom when the meeting is over. You could in person, ask them to stay a few minutes afterwards. If they can't, perhaps arrange a time to meet with them. Some of the dynamics here are going to vary. If they are a guest of another member, then there is an additional connection and perhaps they want to rely a little bit more on the member for some of that information. But I'd say the number one thing that you need to capture is their email so that you can communicate with them and you can follow up with them. And of course, you want to invite them to join. Now, if they're hesitant about joining, ask them to come back again. There's no hurry, there's no rush. I have heard of clubs that have a 3-visit limit, and I'm not sure that how effective that is. It's been my experience, if a guest visits 2 or 3 times, they're interested and they want to be a guest. So invite them to come again. There's no pressure. You sure don't want to make them feel pressured about it. To help guests complete their membership form. One of the things you can do if you're meeting on Zoom is to put it in the link. And again, my preference is to capture their email and send them the application, because that gives you another point of connection. It gives you an opportunity to follow up. It gives you a reason to follow up with them. It gives you an opportunity to chat with them and find out what it is that, if you haven't already discovered what they want out of Toastmasters, how you can help them, make this transition from guest to member the very best. And if it's in person, you sit with them after the meeting. So you always want to make sure you have a supply of applications with you. Outside the club meeting, did you know that the average loss of membership per year in Toastmasters International is 40%? Now, I think that's high. I don't think most of the clubs in our district see that high of a drop. And people leave for all sorts of reasons. They change jobs. There's life circumstances that change, whatever they are. But what that means is that recruiting new members is an ongoing thing. You don't hit 20 members and say, sit back and relax and not worry about it, because there's a high probability 2 or 3 or even 4 members are going to have to leave during the course of the year. So membership building is always an ongoing thing. Promote membership goals. What does that mean? It means that you and the officers, as you meet, will decide, we need to have 1 new member a year, and then you figure out how that's going to happen. You promote membership building contests. They recommend 2 a year. And these events are dedicated to inviting guests. Here again, those events could fit into one of your pathway projects. So it's a win-win in this circumstance. You're fulfilling your club officer role and you're completing some of your pathway projects. Obviously, you want to follow up and keep track of guests. And there again, that's why I say it's so important to get an email or a phone number from them. When we met in person, we had a guest book, and we would ask the guests to put their name in, their phone number, and their email. People understand that. I've never encountered a guest that was reluctant to do that. And that guest book is an excellent resource, not just to follow up with them during the course of the week. That guest book is a resource when you have an event. If that guest visits, and for whatever reason, they don't visit again real soon, but you're having a special speaker come in, you're having a membership recruiting event, then you can go to that guest book and it's your resource to invite them to come back and visit, and especially if the presentation is something that particularly interests them. So outside the club meeting, bring membership applications to the attention of the officers and the members if your club, especially if your club votes on membership. And then again, your job is to procure that completed application and get it approved by the membership, and then give to the treasurer with the application and the dues. You assist the president public relations, and that's to promote your club events. There's no point in having an event and not promoting it. So you and the VP PR are going to promote the event and get the word out there. But you're not alone in this. I believe that every member and every officer has a responsibility to promote the event. So however your club promotes things, get some energy going, some enthusiasm going, and get that word out, because that's what brings the guests in. And what's really important is to ensure your information is correct. On Free Toast Host, if that's your website or whatever you use for a website, and ensure that it's correct on Toastmasters International. I don't know about you, it's not happened in my particular club, but I have heard stories of guests showing up and at location X, and the club has moved to location Y. Oops, that's not good. That does not set a good example for that member. First of all, remember that guest has probably mustered up all sorts of courage to be a guest at your meeting, and then to only have it not be there and nobody's there, and they don't even know you've moved. There's just nobody there. So that is really important to make sure that that is happening. And then you attend club executive committee meetings. And again, we call it an officer meeting in my clubs. Again, outside the club meeting. Oops, I got next screen. There we go. Attend and vote at area council. Now this is held, these are council meetings held by the area directors. And every year, not every area director has been my experience has done this, but when they do it, ideally it's twice a year. It's an opportunity for you to network, to share successes and challenges. If your challenge is with a member, I would recommend that is not the place to bring up your challenges. That is personal and private information, and consult with your president. And if your president is the problem, then you need to consult with your area director. Just find a trusted source, but never bring them to a public meeting, because Toastmasters, like the rest of our world, it's a small world, and you don't want to share those kind of confidences. You arrange for the replacement of yourself the following term, or you get an assistant, which is often can be your actual replacement as you prepare your successor for office. So you invite someone to be your assistant and ask them to fill in when you're absent, so that they get a feeling for the thing. And then there's also the membership committee, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more later. The executive committee, organize and conduct membership contests. This again is you would instigate this, you would be creative with your membership committee or your assistant, and you work with other officers to make it happen. You want to keep everybody informed on what you're doing here. And you can make the events a bit of a competition. You can create your own events. You can have guest speakers. I can share that this year we had 4 in the evening club. We had 4 events. We invited guest speakers. One was on property taxes. I know that sounds like a real snooze and a bore. It was incredibly interesting to understand how our property taxes work. Patrick McGinty, Toastmaster, rode his bike across America, presented to our club. A great opportunity to invite guests. Authors, inside and out Toastmasters, are always looking for opportunities to speak about their books. And many of you know Rebecca Murray. She has some wonderful persona characters. She came in her personality as Disco Dave and gave us an educational presentation. And you can apply these to recruit guests as special events. And there's times during the year that will come up. And that is the Toastmasters International events, which our district participates with. There is the Smedley Award, which is August 1st coming up to September 30th. And that's where you get 5 new, dual, or reinstated members. Talk Up Toastmasters, which is February 1st through March 31st. There again, hold a special meeting, special event to encourage membership and perhaps win some district incentives. And at the end of the year, there's Beat the Clock from May 1st to June 30th, when you take a look at your goals and see where you still need to be and you have an event. The how, the when, the who, the what, we're going to come back to that in our discussion time so we can all be on the screen together. Responsibility action plan. When you set your membership goals, there are things you need to consider. How are you going to make it happen? When will the actions be completed? Who is available to help you? What materials and resources can you use? It is so helpful to have that agenda and plan out for the year. That's something you can work with the other officers on, because when we did it in the evening club, it was so easy. We worked them into our agendas for the year and we knew what was coming up throughout the whole year. So have a plan. So if you haven't already done so, I highly recommend that you have a plan for recruiting members and then bring it to your next executive committee meeting and talk about how you can implement and make it, because your VPE also needs to know when you want to make room in the schedule for this. So things to think about. A healthy club is 20 members because it ensures ideas and participation and input, and it's the best experience for all members. If you don't induct new members, think about doing it. It is a way to make that new member feel valued and important. Consider new member orientation. And if any new member or an existing member is struggling, talk to them. Ask them if they would like a mentor. And that is something you can discuss with the officers also. Attend, I gotta go to the next screen. Oh, there we go. Attend district-sponsored club officer training. You all get to put a check mark, done, because that's what you're doing here today. And you read materials. The Club Leadership Handbook, item 1310, and the DCP, the Distinguished Club Program and Club Success Manual, item 1111, are excellent resources. I highly recommend you read them and review them, not just for your roles. It's a good way to see what other officers are responsible for as you dovetail and make what you're all doing work together. Again, if you're looking for those items, Google it. It is the best resource because it takes you right to the toastmaster.org location for it. You meet with the outgoing executive committee. You meet with the outgoing vice president of membership, which I consider to be a very important thing to do. Transfer supplies, things like a guest book would be important to get. and they can help you maybe discover what worked and what didn't. And then you meet with the current executive committee. Now, your club president should be establishing those meetings. Those should be taking place monthly, but if not, at least every other month, or if there's a special need, you certainly set it up. So something really important to remember here, it's really important. You're not in this alone. Ask for help when you need it. Officers are there to support one another. You're in this together to lead your club. There's a lot of information. I have rambled on about all the things that you need to know, and no one expects you to know it all. So start with what resonates with you. My best advice is to make a plan and then proceed to make it happen. Invite 1 or 2, 3 members to serve on your membership committee. Definitely a future VPM potential, because you can share responsibilities and you can share creative ideas how to make things happen. Conduct a member survey and the Moments of Truth session. In all my years of Toastmaster, this was the first year that I have participated in a Moments of Truth. And that was in the evening club as I served for president. I thought, we have got to do this. The district has an excellent resource. It's anonymous and it's online. And your members are able to share where they're at, what they're struggling with, what they appreciate and enjoy. And that's valuable information as VP of membership, to know what your members need and to create that environment so that when guests come, they want to be a part of your club. Create guest welcome kits. I've discussed those. That is the item 387, or you can create your own. And order any required materials. I don't know about the rest of you, but we really haven't needed much on Zoom. If you're starting to meet in person again, then you would look for your voting forms or whatever your club uses. Name tags, that type of thing. If you want to resource, go to a Toastmasters International website and go to shop and then take a look and see what's available. Now, in both our clubs that I belong to, we use a name tent, which is a download from Toastmasters International, has the logo, and then you can type in the member's name. So the members have permanent name tags like that. And then the guests, obviously I'm not talking about Zoom here, I'm talking about in person. And then I print off blank ones so that when a guest comes, I ask them to write their name on it. They fold the name tent over and everybody can see their name, which is really helpful for the Toastmaster and the president, so that we're not saying, hey, you, for the rest of the meeting. We're actually addressing them by name and we cared enough to know their name. And another one is the guest book. If you are interested in that, it's $10 on Toastmasters International, and it's a nice resource. Additional resources here, and I'm just going to wrap this up so we have good time for discussion. The Success 101 is a digital item, and it is a good resource for ideas to attract and retain members. The membership contest information relates to the Smedley Award, the Talk Up Toastmasters Award, and the Beat the Clock Award that I just mentioned. The Distinguished Club Program and Club Success Plan, that is speaks for itself and is important information to know. The item 11C is actually a wall chart, which I have seen. It's kind of like, you know, kids that we give them stars for chores. And so everybody wants their name up on that board for levels that they've completed. I know it sounds simple, but everybody likes to have those kinds of things. So when you meet in person, that might be something to consider. Speechcraft is an excellent resource for member recruitment. So I strongly urge you to check that out. If you have questions, we're going to deal with them here in a minute, but if you have questions that come up during the course of the year, who do you ask? Well, if your current officers don't have the answer, if past officer doesn't have the answer, look into the club leadership manual. That is an excellent resource, wonderful index. You can go through that and find some answers. The d2tm.org site is a wonderful resource for information, especially for events coming up. Your area director, if you can't find the answer anywhere else, is a resource. And Starburst. If you are not subscribed to Starburst, I recommend it. You can subscribe through the d2tm.org or ask another member, because those who get the Starburst, there is an email in there to sign up for it. So that is something to keep the pulse on what's going on in the district, and you can promote your events on there. And that concludes the formal presentation of VPM. I say do what your club has always done unless it's seriously failing, and then add one or two new things to bring new life and new energy to it. And we are back. All right. So does anyone have any questions?
There was a lot of questions going on in the chat, mostly about where to find resources and the sharing of PowerPoint slides. Stephanie, if I get you the registration list, would you be able to send out the PowerPoint slides to people?
I can do that. I do have the list. You sent it earlier. I printed it off, and it looks like everybody's emails are on there. So I certainly can do that. The PowerPoint. And what was it also? Let me make a note of this. And what was the other item, Tina? The resources.
Yeah, there was some other questions in there.
Okay. All right.
And Paula has her hand up.
Yes. Paula.
Yes, we are still meeting online, which is another whole nother issue. I'm just curious how many clubs have gone back to in-person meetings.
Skoshi?
Yeah, we're doing hybrid to start off with. We are meeting once a month at the Red Curtain Theater in Marysville, and the rest of the time we are doing the Zoom meeting. Our goal is to stay a hybrid meeting because now we have members that are out of state, out of country. So, and I know Digital Transformation is a club who has really managed to do this quite well, and same Early Risers Mount Vernon, Brian Poppy, who's I think still in attendance at this meeting. They've done hybrid meetings ever since I was part of their club 2 years ago. So Brian might be able to lend some information on that.
Brian, are you able to, there you go. All right.
So the question again is?
The question was about hybrid meetings and how they've been working for you.
Yeah, let me take video. So as Skoshi said, we were doing hybrid meetings before hybrid meetings were cool. And it's been a great opportunity for us to expand our membership. We meet at 6:30 in the morning. Not everybody wants to or is able to meet at that time. And by facilitating both in person and online, we're able to expand our reach. But at this point, we are still meeting only online.
Thank you, Brian. It is a bit of a challenge. Some of us are not meeting in person yet. Neither one of my clubs are, because we both clubs meet in the same venue, and it is a bank meeting room, and the bank has not been given the go-ahead to make that room available yet. They are not only restricted by state, but they're restricted by OSHA rules, and we're hoping that will change soon. But I think venue is more of the issue for a lot of us right now. Did that answer your question, Paula, or help a little bit? Okay. Yes, Farron.
I have a general question. I'm interested in everybody's opinion on this, and that is the effectiveness of communication. I know there's email, text, Zoom call, telephone calls. I have, sometimes we have people on email that you never get a response to, or it goes into their junk mail. So I'd like to hear some comments on what you found that really works, and how much time and effort you have to do to communicate with everybody that's not participating.
Would anybody like to help Farron out? And share with us what you do?
Yes.
Hi, one of the things I do is when I send out an email to officers, I put in the options section of Outlook, I don't know if it's the same, but I put, I tick where you can say that it's been delivered and that it's been read. So at least I know they've seen it, they read it. The other thing, some people communicate better by text. Some I just pick up the phone and do it the old fashioned way, and other people just never get back to you.
Right, okay.
Yeah. But when I'm searching for somebody to fill a role at a meeting, I pick up the phone. If I'm the Toastmaster of the evening, I pick up the phone.
Got it.
Amy, you
I
were
thought
raising your
so.
hand.
Yes,
Yes, Amy.
yes. I like to share the love with my fellow Toastmasters. So I ask people to keep up with the folks that they have mentored. If you've mentored someone and you notice that they're not there, then I ask you to go and follow up with them, because they're more likely to talk to you than they are to talk to me.
Excellent suggestion. No, I agree with you. I think it's great. Yeah.
Go next.
Yes.
Yeah, so to answer Farron's question, we had the same challenge in our club with the communication problems. And recently we've just found out working on Teams, team app, that's really helped a lot. And we have great communication on the team, and we all respond at least within 24 hours. So that's really been helpful for us versus just emails. And on the Easy Speak, we have Easy Speak. So Teams has really helped a lot. Yeah.
That's good to know. I know that Zoom has a new application. Kevin, can you share a little bit? Is that something that is similar to Team?
Yes, in theory, you can do calls, but people have to keep the Zoom app open. And
Oh, okay.
if you use it for work, people might do it. Same with Teams. If you don't use it, you'd probably close it completely once you're done.
In other words, you have to have the app, and then you have to have it open all the time to see if there's any messages on it.
At least down your taskbar, and then pops up,
Okay.
hey, someone wants to talk to you.
Okay, good to know. All right, any other questions? Farron, I was thinking too.
Question, sorry.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah. So I saw that there's also an electronic packet for the new members. So I would like to know where to find that, and also the survey. Where can I find that?
The survey for today's meeting?
No, in general.
Oh, the Moments of Truth?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, in the district, you would reach out to, last year it was Baxter. I'm not sure who is heading it up this year, but they can set you up for the club. Tina or Linda, can you answer who she needs to contact?
For the Starburst?
No, for the Moments of Truth, to be set up to do the district online Moments of Truth.
Linda, do you know? She's gonna look. We'll get back to you.
Okay. I know last year it was Baxter, and then Baxter helped set it all up. The email went out to the club members, and then we got the results. If you get more than, last year it was needing a certain percentage, then the district would come and present the results. We had just a little less than that. We probably had about a 65, 70% response, 60% response maybe. And one of our members, she took it on. Actually, she was vice president of membership. She took it on and sorted through the information and then gave a presentation to the club of the results of that. And as I said, all the comments were anonymous. I would say 99% of them were very positive. They were helpful to know about what direction. And except for one comment, I will share with you. Somebody thought we lived, eat, and breathe Toastmasters a little too much. But other than that, you know, what can you do? What I appreciated about that was the honesty, because that's what you want. You want people to be honest.
We do have someone in mind for the Moments of Truth coordinator, but they are not yet confirmed. So please feel free to reach out to Tina, myself, and Heather. Our emails are listed at the bottom of the Starburst newsletter, or I can pop it into chat here and we will get you started.
All right, Mary Manning has a question.
Hi, how often is it recommended that we do a Moments of Truth survey? Because our club just did it this spring, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Should we do it once a year, and what part of the year is recommended?
Well, I can answer that. I did read in a manual that comes directly from Toastmasters International that they would love to see you do it at least one time a year. But I've also heard of clubs doing it twice a year. I don't know, to me, that's a little bit much, but every club's different. So I'd say just talk to your officers and see how they want to direct things.
Mary,
also, I will add one more thing. When it comes to the area director visiting your club, technically it isn't called Moments of Truth, but in fact, it's actually pretty much the same thing in that they're going through and looking at every single area of your club. So that's another opportunity to do something very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks, Linda.
All right, and I did see another hand up. Amy?
Yes, I'd like to point out the fact that there is some body of evidence somewhere that I'm not sure where it is, but apparently somebody did some research and found that the main reason why visitors don't join clubs is because they were not directly asked.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to point that out and make sure everybody has that in the back of their head. Make sure when someone comes to visit your club, say something on the effect of, we'd really love to have you be a member. We want to invite you to join.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you for addressing that, because one of the things that I have noticed is that for some of us, it's more difficult than others to do the ask. You feel like maybe it's a pressure, and it's not. They're there as a guest, and they're there because they're interested. And there's gentle ways to approach it, not like hand them an application and please sign here and this is how much it's going to be, but you can gently say to them, we would love for you to be a member. Can I go through the application with you? And there's ways to approach it. If anybody has a really good suggestion, I'd love to hear it. Okay, no suggestions. I'm looking at my screen, so if I missed your hand up, forgive me. It's I'm looking at trying to catch everybody. Does anybody else have any questions? So I'm going to present a question to you. Oh, Paula, yes.
You know, we've had people come and go, so what's the appropriate, you know, sometimes they're nervous, sometimes about public speaking, sometimes they're busy. But what's would you say was the appropriate time to just kind of check in and see how they're doing without feeling like you're harassing them, dragging them back to the meeting? I mean, it's, you know, I want to touch base with them, but not, like I say, feel like I'm harassing them.
I think it depends. For me, right off the top of my head, I think it depends on how, if it's on Zoom, you've really not had much opportunity to connect with them unless you meet with them after the meeting on Zoom. So I'd say it's appropriate to reach out within the first 24 hours to thank them for coming and to invite them to ask questions and to make it comfortable for them to respond. In person, you know, maybe if you've had a chance to talk with them, following up 2 or 3 days later. Does anybody else have any other good recommendations?
Well, I'm talking too about people have actually joined, but then just kind of, or come to several meetings, but then just kind of fallen by the wayside.
Yeah.
That kind of follow up.
Yes, and I would say Dennis looks like he has a comment he'd like to make about that.
Actually, it's not a comment, it's more of a question
Mhm.
regarding membership. You were saying that we should gently ask the prospective member if they would like to join, go through the application, all that sort of thing. I have seen this happen time and time again, where they will sign up, pay the money, and you never see them again. So how do we get around that one?
I don't know, Dennis, because it's happened in the clubs I belong to also. I would say that, you know, it's something that we can follow up, but I would say the reality of what they have just done and realizing that it's going to require them to step out of their comfort zone is perhaps more than they want to deal with at this time. That would be one of my guesses. And, you know, reaching out to help them feel comfortable is the best way, you know, to remind them that it's an encouraging and safe environment. Sometimes when a guest comes and it's like your best speaker in the whole club does a speech and they think, yeah, that's never going to happen. You know, so you need to assure them that this person has been in Toastmasters for a while, or, you know, that type of thing. Amy, you have some feedback on that?
Yes, my comment is that what you're speaking of in my club is the mentor's job.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have mentors in your club for new members, I would strongly suggest pairing people up. That's what a mentor does. They keep that person involved. They follow up. They figure out what the blocks are and get rid of them.
I would suspect that you would want to assign a buddy, a person that is a quote, a mentor, coach person to, if you will, hold their hand for the first level or two through pathways. Farron, we need to work on that.
I mean, it's a good question, Dennis. Thank you. And it's an ongoing issue, and we love to have good answers for that. Vivian, you have your hand up.
Yeah, so going back to just how to engage members, especially the new ones that, you know, just signed up and haven't, and like maybe they're a little lost, maybe they're intimidated, don't know what to do. Something that I did last year was any new member that signed up, and almost immediately after they have all their membership dues and paid, we've got their account created on Toastmasters International and on EasySpeak. I set up a meeting with them, and it's like 20 minutes, and say, hey, let's walk through EasySpeak. Let me show you how to sign up for roles, and let's actually set up your first icebreaker speech. And so they're sort of held accountable to making that first speech.
Mm-hmm.
And like anytime before that speech, I say, hey, if you want to like practice your speech with me before you give it to the whole club, let me know. We'll set up some time. I can give you some early feedback. And it's sort of hand holding them between for the first speech, or at least the first two, so that if they have the date set up, even if they end up changing their mind before that speech, like when they do, they say, okay, but I'm going to change my date to this date, to change my speech to this other date. And so they're already sort of held accountable to making at least that first speech. I feel like the small deadline helps them be more engaged and sort of gives them the extra little push that it might take to have them participate.
Excellent, Vivian. That's an excellent suggestion to get them involved quickly and assign them roles that they are comfortable with. Things like, you know, vote counter, if you vote for things, or grammarian, things that are doable, and then getting that icebreaker scheduled. Looks like we have about 2 or 3 more minutes, and then I turn it back over to Kevin and the trio. Yes, Steve.
Thanks. And by the way, that Vivian's idea does sound awesome.
Yeah.
But on the retention piece though, I was wondering on that 40% turnover that you guys are talking about, do we have data on the reasons why people leave?
You know, I didn't dig deeper on that when I saw the research. That was, I read that in one of the brochures, one of the resources recommended. I don't think that that we're doing anything wrong. Certainly there could be a club culture or environment that could put somebody off, but I would say a very high percentage are just that people come, they come for a year, they come for a month, they come for a week. They think this is not the right time for me, or they recognize that this is way out of my comfort zone. I just can't do it. I'm not ready. People move, they change jobs, their life circumstances, their family, their job, you know, things change so much for people. It is rare for me. The only time that I suspect, because I think what's important is if a member stops coming or doesn't renew, is ask them to share with you what it is. I know that sometimes that's hard. And when I have followed up with someone like that, when they don't answer me, I guess that it's something intensely personal, or they have issue with something in the club and they're not going to share it. And we do our best. And I think if we create that warm, welcoming environment, we follow up when we can and do everything within our capacity and our responsibilities, then after that, we can't accept responsibility for someone choosing not to renew or not to come back. I know that that's really difficult, but that's the nature of our beast, I think.
Thank you.
And I think that makes a great finishing remark. We can only do our best.
Yeah.
And it's an up to the members.
Kevin, if I could just add one thing that somebody told me recently, you just be excellent. You don't have to be perfect. So if you give your best, then you've done your best. All right, back to you, Kevin.
Thank you so much. And I think that sums it up very well. Just be excellent. You don't have to be perfect. Now we, of course, would like to have the feedback from each and every one of you, how we did. And hopefully you all tell me to invite Stephanie for the next Mealy season again. So please fill out the survey. The link is in the chat. And we really are interested in what to do better and how to get it closer to perfect at least. And now for the district announcements, let me invite our program quality director, Tina Tate.
Thank you, Kevin. And before we leave today, we're going to have you guys get started on that survey while you're here so that we'll give you some time to complete that before you leave. So I have just a quick announcement, and then Linda has a quick announcement. My first announcement is about the International Convention and proxies. If you are a president or secretary, you must go into Toastmasters International and assign your proxy. And even if you are going to the convention and you're going to be voting yourself, you have to assign your proxy to yourself. Or you can assign it to another club member, and that club member, if they're going to the convention, can carry your vote. If no one from your club is going to the convention, you can assign your proxy to the district director and she will make the votes. So please pass that on to your presidents and secretary. And then the other announcement I have is about club officer training. As you can see, we're doing things a little differently this year. Please take this back to your club officers as well. Let them know that they do not have to attend the training that is only for the roles. They can choose any of the trainings that are offered, whether it's a leadership module or the role session. You can go to any of them and get credit. So pick the one that fits best with your schedule. We are, and I posted the YouTube channel earlier in the chat, we're recording all of the sessions and posting them on our YouTube channel. So You will have an opportunity to get trained from the videos. You can't get credit from the videos, though. You have to actually attend at least one of any of the trainings in order to get credit, but you can watch them on the YouTube channel. And Linda has some wonderful news. Linda?
I do have wonderful news. And first, to answer Scotia's question, you have to attend training by the end of August to receive the Super 7, which is that award that you get for D2. Speaking of D2, here's my great announcement. If you start a club between now and the end of September, because you've got a work that you just want to have all your coworkers be on Toastmasters, or maybe you've got a big family and you've got 20 people and your family wants to have a big Toastmasters club, or maybe you've got a community and or you just have a lot of neighbors and you want to have a Toastmasters club. If you start your Toastmasters club between now and September 30th, the district will give you 200 D2. You can buy anything in the store. You can buy your Zoom account, your Meetup, any advertising for your club. It's a great way to buy all the supplies that you need to get your club started. So do it now. Let me know if you need any help in getting your club started. And do we have, after we close this meeting, do we have 5 more minutes, Stephanie? There were still 3 hands up when Kevin closed us down. So I know there's more questions. We can stop the recording, conclude the meeting. Everyone can leave if they need, and then we can answer a couple more questions if you're good. And if Kevin, if you need to leave, you can certainly turn host over to someone else like me.
I'm good.
I think we have time.
All
Perfect.
right, everybody, go do their survey. Kevin,
Exactly.
back to
Again,
you.
please do the survey. And if you have to drop, now it's the official end, but we're happy to have more questions here if you have them. Or of course, if you have any comments for us. So thanks
I have
everyone
to
for
go.
coming.
Bye, guys.